In primetime news this evening, traffic ticket day ends in frustration.
We'll tell you why the Spanish Town mayor wants a review of how crashes are being recorded.
And police raise alarm about children engaging in risky behavior during the summer holidays. Good evening and welcome to primetime news. A very special welcome to our viewers on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands and online at onespotmedia.com. I'm Anthony Logue.
And I'm Kalisha Williams. Now, a little later on, we'll have a financial week, but here's Romain with what's to come in the weather report and forecast. Romain?
Thanks, Kalisha. We have dry conditions expected this week, but we're still keeping those strong winds and those smoke-draft warnings in effect for both in and offshore areas of both coasts. I'll tell you more in the weather report and forecast.
Thank you so much, Romain. There's also sports commentary and e-prime in this newscast, but before the break, the feedback question.
And this evening, we're asking, well, what can be done to ensure children remain safe and protected during the summer holidays?
Now, you can share comments online at facebook.com/television Jamaica and post on X at TVJ News Center.
Please stay with us. Primetime News returns right after this break.
Welcome back to Primetime News.
Special welcome to folks on onespotmedia.com and those of you watching on TVJ International in the Cayman Islands.
Up first this evening, the culmination of traffic ticket day for Kingston and St. Andrew ended with frustrated motorists leaving the National Arena after midnight and without their matters being resolved.
As Jamaica Maitland explains, missed appointments by motorists, the number of outstanding tickets, as well as the lack of digitization of court records are some of the reasons for the delay.
Judges assigned to traffic ticket day for Kingston and St. Andrew walk aimlessly as they take short breaks from the makeshift courtrooms inside the National Arena Thursday night. Mental breaks from going through piles of outstanding traffic tickets and back stretches to ease the pain from sitting for hours presiding over delinquent motorists for traffic violations. Chief Justice Brian Sykes says the volume of work being done is extraordinary.
It's a tremendous effort on behalf of the judges and the staff, the prosecutors, but it shows you the importance of having the interagency cooperation.
The two-day event, which started 9 a.m. Wednesday, ended sometime after 1 a.m. on Thursday. Day 2 was shaping up to be no different.
Close the lines behind you.
After leaving the arena, our news team learned that the process also went up until midnight. Notably, it was scheduled to end at 7 p.m. on both days. Our sources told us that a decision was made to stop the proceedings. Justice Sykes acknowledged that some of the shortcomings are due to the pace of digitization of court records.
What we have now is that the police are able to issue their tickets faster and more efficiently, but we are still struggling with paper within the court system. So this experience has emphasized the need to digitize.
Frustrated motorists were forced to leave, but not without additional information for night court to resolve their matters. 6,000 people registered for the event. 4,000 of them had warrants. Among the motorists, there were close to 44,000 outstanding traffic tickets. It's an alarming figure for most, but to the Court Administration Division, it represents just about 5% of the total outstanding traffic tickets in both parishes.
What the data is telling us is that the large population centers, for example, Kingston and St. Andrew, and the parishes through which the highway goes,
like St. Catherine.
So St. Catherine, St. Anne, St. James, and so what that is telling us as a judiciary now, we have to have the efficient systems in place so that those parishes do not become overwhelmed.
TVJ News could not ascertain how many outstanding tickets were able to be resolved over the 2 days. Communications Director Kadish Jared Fletcher says the data is still being collated. Jamila Maitland, TVJ News.
The St. Catherine Municipal Corporation is urgently calling for greater enforcement in how motor vehicle crashes are documented by the police, especially when there is damage to government property. It comes as councillors lament the challenge of the corporation having to foot the bills when government infrastructure are damaged during motor vehicle crashes.
This bridge in Central Village, St. Catherine, is a prime example of the years of neglect to infrastructure across the parish after motor vehicle accidents. Mayor of Spanish Town, Norman Scott, says a truck damaged the bridge 16 years ago.
They hit that bridge down. I went there the night. I saw what happened. And to date, you pass and you see that bridge is still there, where the damage has not been repaired.
His comments came after Council for the Independent City Division, Courtney Edwards, raised concerns about the frequent motor vehicle crashes in the parish that have been damaging government infrastructure.
And would have damaged, for example, a guardrail, and the police come on site, and all that is done is an account of the damage to the vehicle is done and report to the insurance companies. All the payouts will go to the vehicle accident itself and those who are probably traveling in the vehicle. And Chairman, the infrastructure is left there unattended to for months, years, and of course, we are looked forward to as councillors to actually repair or replace these infrastructure.
Mr. Edwards said the police should start enforcing the legislation and ensure that they account for the damage in infrastructure in their reports so that the insurance companies can make the necessary payments.
Which of course will offset the parish council's fund that we have here, right? So in a nutshell, Chairman, it is to seek further support in maintaining what we already have, and more so to ensure that persons treat infrastructure with care.
There is provision in law to accommodate all that you have on that resolution. And I just say this, it's a matter of the enforcement.
Mr. Scott stressed that there is a department at the National Works Agency that handles such matters. However, the corporation was informed that the NWA is not the problem.
One of the challenges NWA and other agencies have is that when there's an accident, it is not captured in the police report. So once you approach the insurance company, there is nothing to show to them that there was an accident and this was damage. Yeah. So that's the main issue.
With schools now closed for the summer, the police are raising concern about an increase in reports of missing children and risky behavior among minors. As Sandy Williams reports, they're urging parents to put supervision systems in place this summer to keep children safe and accounted for. As classrooms fall silent for the summer, left unsupervised and increasingly at risk.
School is out now, and from assessment, from analysis, what is happening is that during this time period, we're having issues with children. Issues where children are being reported missing, right? Issues where children engage in deviant behavior. One of the main reasons we realize is that parents are out to work during this time because during school hours, students will be in school.
The Clarendon police say many of these cases are not what they initially seem.
Some of the missing person reports, we have to log them as missing, but they are in contact because they probably leave and gone to stay with a friend, not wanting the family member to know where they are, but they still are reported as missing because they are missing from their home.
Still, officers stress that once a child cannot be accounted for, the situation becomes serious, stretching already limited resources and raising alarm. The police are urging parents and guardians to take extra precautions.
If it is that you have to leave for work, don't leave your children unsupervised. Have them go to a family member that can care for them, that can supervise. It's a challenge during this time of the year because now we have school out and students are unsupervised.
According to the police, beyond mischief and disobedience, there is a far more serious threat.
We have a lot of creatures out there, persons that are preying upon the children, I'll tell you that. We have persons that are preying on these children, right? And they seek every opportunity to prey on them.
Sandy Williams, TVJ News. Still to come this evening, concerns about an increase in lottery scamming in Manchester. And in the financial week, local manufacturers urged to pay more attention to the export market. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Welcome back and thanks for staying with us. We're continuing the news. The Manchester police carried out several targeted operations in Mandeville today aimed at recovering illegal guns and clamping down on persons believed to be involved in lottery scamming. Several persons who reside at an upscale apartment along Ward Avenue were taken into custody. Operations Officer for the Manchester Police Division, DSP Valdin Amos, says the police have enough evidence to lay charges on at least 4 of them. With violent crime linked to lottery scamming, he's warning property owners to be wary of persons who offer to pay unusually high sums of cash to rent their premises. Commanding Officer for the parish, DSP Odin Dennis, echoed the call.
A lot of persons in Manchester own property but do not live in them. They rent these properties for profit, and these scammers are capitalizing on this by offering up to 2 years' rent in advance. The average property owner will quickly jump at the chance to have that ready upfront cash, and unknown to them, they expose themselves to the probability of some of these violent acts that follow scamming and scammers.
And still in Manchester, from crippling business to breaking relationships, councillors in the parish are concerned about the negative impact on persistent curfew to curb crime in the parish. The issues were raised at this month's municipal corporation meeting, where the police highlighted a reduction in serious crimes since the start of the year. Krista Campbell reports.
The Manchester police are celebrating an 18% decline in serious crimes from January 1 to July 4, 2026, but curfews remain in effect for several communities. Head of Operations for the Manchester Police, Deputy Superintendent Valdin Amos, stressed that the limitation of movement during curfews help deter criminal activities and protect lives and property. But for Councillor for the Knockpatrick Division, Carl Smith, whose division has been under curfew since last November, the fallout is getting worse.
We have seen a slight increase in domestic violence in these spaces because of the curfew, because persons are frustrated. Females are pressuring the males who should be the provider, and most of these males operate shop. Shop has to be closed from 6 o'clock, and if you notice these shops in these spaces, that's the time when they make the money to send the students to school, to send the females to market. So that is posing a little challenge.
Knockpatrick, All England, before the weekend is over, we'll be meeting with these communities with a view of lifting these curfews, because we are of the opinion that it has served its purpose.
Mandeville Mayor Donovan Mitchell, who is also councillor for the Royal Flats Division, noted that businesses have been suffering from the early closure hours under curfews imposed in communities where serious crimes have not been an issue.
At 6:15, it is still daylight, bright and pretty same way. To start a curfew at that time is sort of rough. Children are now on holidays, so there are more mouths to feed, more running up and down in the house, a lot of stuff.
We had met with the community several times prior to extending the curfew. And the decision was not made by just police and police intelligence and what we do think or what we believe. It is based on strong evidence where we strongly believe that the perpetrators are in and out of the space, being harbored by a few persons in the space. And we thought that it was important to continue the curfew.
DSP Amos says the curfews will be reviewed in consultation with residents, but even as he notes significant declines in break-ins from 550 in 2016 to 29 since the start of 2026, concerns about an increase in the town centre of the Cobbler community in the Walderston division.
They have been gone into those shops about 5 times, like 5 consecutive weeks. And we have reported it, and it was the day before yesterday, they went into another one.
DSP Amos said the police had not received reports of those break-ins, but Mayor Mitchell suggested an increase in police presence in some communities in lieu of certain curfew restrictions like early business closure. Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
The St. James Police have provided details of plans to keep residents and visitors safe during the highly anticipated Dream Weekend Party Series next month. Head of the Police Division, Senior Superintendent Aaron Samuels, addressed the issue of safety and security at the recently held Municipal Corporation meeting.
The 2026 staging of Dream Weekend is slated for July 30 to August 3. The 5-day premier destination festival is expected to see thousands of local and international patrons flock Montego Bay for the first time in 16 years. But with St. James recording a 25% increase in murders since the start of the year, safety concerns are growing. Head of the St. James Police Division, SSP Aaron Samuel, says the uptick is merely marginal.
Last year this time we are at 30 and we're at 37. Nothing to be alarmed about. If you really think back 4 years ago, we would have been at 140 plus at this time.
SSP Aaron Samuel says all systems are in place to ensure that the police's presence is felt across the parish. He's also appealing to residents to work with the police.
If you see anything that is untoward, let us know early. In terms of traffic management, we will be out in our numbers. We are also looking to get assistance from outside of the parish to ensure that the movement of patrons and the regular motoring public moves as smoothly as possible.
SSP Samuel says teams will be deployed in advance to accommodate airport movements as persons will start coming in at least a week earlier.
This will see us really pushing hard to ensure that both from persons coming outside of the parish into the parish and those moving in and around, that we will assist in moving things smoothly. We will definitely see an influx in economic activity right across the parish. What also comes with economic activity are persons looking to capitalize on this negatively. So we are asking for business owners to work with the police to ensure that we are aware of any incidents that may become problematic whilst the week continues.
He expressed optimism about the safety of the event. Deirdre Thomas, TVJ News.
After mounting complaints by cattle farmers, the Ministry of Agriculture has announced improved measures to its tagging program. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green provided details at the launch of the 128th General Meeting of the Jamaica Agricultural Society, JAS, at the Denby Showgrounds in Clarendon on Wednesday.
Cattle farmers can now breathe a sigh of relief following an announcement by the Ministry of Agriculture that it will be rolling out a series of measures to address the growing backlog in cattle tagging. The measures include expanding the service, increasing the supply of identification tags, recruiting community assistance, and the introduction of a temporary arrangement to facilitate the transport of eligible animals for slaughter. Agriculture Minister Floyd Green said the initiatives are intended to meet the surge in demand for cattle tagging while ensuring legitimate farmers can continue their operations. And as part of the effort, 6 new animal technicians will join the Veterinary Services Division, FSD, over the next 4 weeks.
And we're going to deploy them to the parishes where we're having the biggest challenges. Additionally, sometimes the issue is not just the veterinary officer and the animal technician, but to get people to restrain the animals sometimes poses a problem. So we're going to be hiring 100 community assistants to work with the Veterinary Services Division to go into the communities to help the farmers restrain the animals so that we can tag in a more efficient system.
Minister Green also assured farmers that the ministry has taken steps to maintain an adequate supply of cattle.
We have an order for an additional 130,000 tags that will come by the first week in August, and that is in addition to 20,000 tags that we just got about 2 weeks ago. So tag won't be the issue.
Additionally, the minister announced that during July and August, the ministry will implement a temporary arrangement to allow legitimate farmers who have experienced difficulties getting their animals tagged to transport those animals for slaughter. The measure is intended to reduce the backlog while ensuring farmers and butchers can continue their business.
So the Agricultural Protection Branch is working with RADA to work out the protocol around that. It will require that you notify the police. It will require that you have your receipts. You still will need receipts. And it will only be for a set time period.
The minister also urged farmers not to wait until they are ready to sell an animal before arranging for it to be tagged. Aliyah Bryant, TVJ News.
There's still no consensus on electoral boundaries for Portmore. A stakeholders meeting was held yet again this week. Yannick Williams has the details.
The parish of Portmore does not exist. That assertion from the Member of Parliament for South St. Catherine Fitz-Jackson at the second constitutional meeting for Portmore to be officially approved to become Jamaica's 15th parish. Attention is now turning to how its electoral boundaries will be drawn as government officials on Thursday hosted a second consultation meeting, inviting stakeholders to review and discuss the proposed electoral divisions that will shape political representation in the new parish. Mr. Jackson says the meeting was intended to explore ways of ensuring the legislation aligns with the Constitution, but
I think they're running into a roadblock, because the Boundaries Committee of Parliament, which is controlled by the government with its majority, has mandated the EOJ to make changes to comply with what the court has ordered. Unfortunately, what we are seeing is that the EOJ is asked to prescribe constituency boundary in a parish that does not exist.
Before the first consultation, Mr. Jackson says he urged the Electoral Office of Jamaica to seek legal guidance on the matter. However, he says the questions remain unanswered.
If it is the case that they do have legal authority to prescribe constituency boundaries for a parish that does not legally exist, I asked that question last meeting, and I reiterated that question today at the meeting just concluded, and there's no answer that was provided. So it's an outstanding question to be addressed by the ECJ.
In the meantime, Member of Parliament for St. Catherine South Eastern, Dr. Dawes, says his participation in the process will be limited, arguing that there was no meaningful consultation with residents or their elected representatives.
This is a kangaroo committee, as much as you'd hear about a kangaroo court. They have already decided that they're going to form a Portmore parish, and it is based on gerrymandering. Last time I checked, voters chose who their elected representatives were. I never see anywhere where elected representatives choose who their voters are. They have turned neighbors into people who live in different parishes with very little consideration for how their goals of trying to garrisonize East Central St. Catherine is going to affect people who are living in the space.
The stakeholder consultations are expected to continue before the Electoral Commission finalizes its recommendations for Portmore's new electoral boundaries.
It was just an information as to the way forward and what's the thinking of EOJ consultation, what will be our thinking as well, what will be our preference in terms of the boundaries of Portmore. And there should be a meeting in the near future that we will walk and really visualize as to the parish cut for Portmore.
Yannick Williams, TVJ News.
Coming up later in this newscast, at least 12 killed in wildfires in Spain. We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're continuing the news. In the final of a two-part update on 30-year-old Jacine Greenfield, whose two hands were severed by an ex-partner in 2017, Krista Campbell looks at the possibility of prosthesis.
Curious and anxious. The emotions as 30-year-old Jacine Greenfield stepped into the Surgix Prosthetic Clinic in Montego Bay, St. James to get fitted for prosthetic hands. It's the first step in the process to help her become even more independent as she ekes out a living to better care for her 15-year-old son and 8-year-old daughter. Surgix CEO Winfield Boban says his team acted upon direct instruction.
The Prime Minister has taken a great interest as well, and his office, in getting this matter out.
He says the Prime Minister is trying to secure funding to pay for both hands. A grateful Jacine already has hopes.
I would love to see me actually assisting myself, like using bathroom, having a shower, and so forth. So that's the most curious part I would like to see happening to myself again.
We will give her one mechanical hand and one electronic hand, if you will, bionic hand, if you will. And that would allow her to have more functionality, to be able to do everyday chores that she is having some difficulty with now. And as well, she'll be able to lift things and comb her own hair, maybe, apply some lotion, things like that. So she'll be able to have the use of her fingers.
Now, the first 3 steps in the process includes getting the prosthesis molded.
When I'm doing the mold, these measurements here have to basically be used to provide proper suspension for the patient. So this is what a test socket looks like. It's basically see-through, so we can know where needs to be modified, if modifications need to be done. We can use this test socket to better prepare us for the final fitting of the prosthesis.
The fourth part of it now would be teaching her how to use these limbs. The fifth part of it would be helping her to strengthen the muscles so that she can carry the limbs.
Now that the process has started, Mr. Boban says the end result, where Jacine is actually using her prosthetics on her own, is all dependent on her.
With someone like Jacine, who has this urge and this need to overcome, if it may normally take 90 days, she can get it done in 30 to 60 days. So it's really patient specific, to be honest.
Krista Campbell, TVJ News.
And it's time now for the responses from our friends on Facebook and X. And this evening we're asking what can be done to ensure children remain safe and protected during the summer holidays. The first one is from Trudy and Campbell. Summer camp, summer jobs, social intervention programs, as well as regular supervision by parents, guardians, and other stakeholders, such as members of their community. This one is from Audley Phillip. Active supervision and preparation. Never leave children unsupervised at home. Designate a water watcher near swimming areas, monitoring online activity, and ensuring proper hydration and sun protection. Deon Williams, closer supervision. Children are not to be sent on beach and river trips without parents and guardians, ensuring that there'll be lifeguards on duty at the respective venues, as well as having mature adults who are able to supervise them adequately. We keep those comments coming to this question: what can be done to ensure children remain safe and protected during the summer holidays? And you can share those comments on facebook.com/television Jamaica and post on X at TVJ News Center. The financial week and news from overseas, as well as our bite of the week, are all next. Stay with us. Welcome back. It's time now for the Financial Week. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, says too few businesses are taking advantage of agencies designed to support their growth and expansion. He was speaking at the opening of Christmas in July on Thursday.
Scores of small and medium-sized businesses gather at the Jamaica Pegasus for the annual Christmas in July trade show. Of the 180 exhibitors, 120 are participating for the first time. They're hoping to, among other things, establish long-term relationships as they seek to expand their business. While acknowledging the usefulness of the trade show, Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, pointed to the underutilization of agencies like JAMPRO and JBDC established to help businesses expand their operations.
Use those before you go to a lawyer. You're going to save a lot of money, and the government, we use your taxpayers to give you the service. Go use it.
He also encouraged sellers to look beyond the local shores to expand their business.
Stop asking, how do I sell more in Jamaica? Just sell more. Don't worry, ask anymore. And this is what you should say. This is the ask you must have. What does a buyer in Bogota, in Colombia, Lagos in Nigeria, Nairobi in Kenya, Singapore as we know, in Miami, and Atlanta and New York actually need, and can I be the one who supplies it?
He says there's a wealth of information about export prospects to include the gaps which need to be filled in the Caribbean, Africa, European, and Asian countries.
Countries that have successfully expanded their exports, studied their buyers first, built competitiveness, and positioned themselves deliberately. You're going to have to be purposeful about what you want to achieve. Jamaica's advantage is that our identity is already globally desired. My heavens, wherever I go, including where I just come from, Jamaica is sought out. When we speak, I promise you, people listen.
Deidre Thomas, TVJ News.
To the foreign exchange market now. At the end of foreign exchange trading, banks and cambios were selling the US dollar for an average $159.65. The Canadian dollar is being sold for $114.23. The pound is going for $213.71, while the euro is selling for an average $185.37. To the stock market now, the JSE index advanced by 2,171 points, while the junior market index advanced by 7 points. Advancing shares included Productive Business Solutions, US dollar ordinary shares, Productive Business Solutions 9.25% US dollar shares, MPC Caribbean Clean Energy, Epley 7.25% preference shares, and MFS Capital Partners. Now to the losers, they were led by The Lab, Sagicor Real Estate X Fund, Radio Jamaica 138 Student Living Variable Preference Shares, and JPS 9.5% Preference Shares. 17 stocks traded firm. And that's the Financial Week. News from overseas when we come back.
Behind every issue are real people.
Welcome back to news from overseas now. At least 12 people are dead as large wildfire burns through parts of Spain's southern coast. Figures regarding missing persons vary slightly depending on the source. The Andalusian regional government reports 23 people missing, whereas the Ministry of Interior states it has received only 3 missing person reports. The fire has already consumed around 3,200 100 hectares, forcing the evacuation of more than 1,400 people as about 150 emergency crews battle the flames. Now, a regional governor is calling the blaze the most devastating the area has ever seen. The region has been under high temperature warnings in recent days. Spain's Prime Minister has issued his condolences to the victims' families. To our bite of the week now, it comes from Barbados Prime Minister Mia Mottley. She was condemning comments from a former British Member of Parliament who argued that former colonies should compensate Britain for its role in developing those territories. Here's our bite of the week.
Bite of the week brought to you by King Alam. King Alam, the obvious choice.
I'm not sure that you want me to reply to things that really are asinine. And certainly the notion that we should pay the United Kingdom for oppressing us, for enslaving us, and for treating us as chattel. And that is the difference. Slavery existed before, but this was the first time that human beings were defined as chattel.
Bite of the week brought to you by King Alam. King Alam, the obvious choice.
And the Primetime News Package continues with sports right after this break.